Welcome everyone, and we'll call the meeting to order. Anybody with a conflict of interest, please declare it at the proper time. Ken, would you like to introduce our new planner?
Yes, well, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of Committee of Adjustment. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ken Melanson. I'm the Manager of Planning and Development Services for the county, and we provide the planning services to Warwick and a number of other local municipalities here in the county. I'm pleased to introduce tonight Karen Sander, who is the new planner, one of the new planners. We've actually added 4 to our team last year, who is joining the county and will be providing planning services to Warwick. So over the next few months, as we get Karen settled into the team, Lewis will continue in his role with Warwick, and then eventually Karen will take over that role full time. So we don't have an ETA when that transition will be, but it will be in the probably a couple months time. So welcome, Karen, to the team.
Welcome, Karen, and thank you, Ken. We'll start with our first application. Take notice that application has been made by Jim and Nancy DeJew, owners of Concession 5, South Egremont Road, West Plot, Lot 8, West 1/2 Lot 8, municipality known as 6829 Confederation Line. And Concession 5, South Egremont Road, West Part, Lot 8, Northwest Part, Lot 8, RP 25R3978, Part 1, municipally known as 6783 Confederation Line. Township of Warwick for a lot boundary adjustment between 6829 Confederation Line and 6783 Confederation Line, whereby 6783 Confederation Line consists of 2.87 acres, will be consolidated with the existing agriculture lot, and the boundary of the agriculture lot adjusted to establish a 2.3 acre parcel encompassing the existing residence at 6829 Confederation Line. And further take notice that the Land Division Committee of the Township of Warwick has appointed Tuesday, March 22nd, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. for the purpose of the public meeting into this matter. Would the secretary please read the dates and places of the notice to the public?
Notices were sent by regular mail on March 2nd, 2022, and they were posted on the property on March 3rd, 2022.
Were there any letters or submissions supporting or opposing the application?
So there was 2 correspondence for this application. They were on the agenda, but I can read them if you'd like.
I think we're fine unless anybody wants to have them read.
I was wondering if maybe we could get them read, just so I was aware of the situation.
Okay.
Yep. They are, for if you want to look afterwards, Jim, they are on the agenda on our website too, so you can read them yourself afterwards if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the County Public Works submitted that they had no comments. And the Building Services Department from the County of Lambton said, the 2 new proposed lot sizes, which exceed 2 acres each, are acceptable to this department. Both parcels will achieve the reasonable use guidelines set by the Ministry of the Environment, which requires a minimum lot size of 2 acres when created in underlying clay soils. According to the application, a new septic system is proposed for the 2.3 acre parcel and a renovation of the existing house if the applications are approved. With that being stated, the septic will be required to be replaced prior to the registrations being complete. This department can support the application provided the following conditions are imposed. Number 1, that a septic permit be obtained for the new septic system. The septic permit must be obtained and the new septic system installed prior to the completion of the title registrations. And number 2, that the septic system location be included on the survey plotted on a copy by the owner and a copy provided to the Building Services Department for the property files.
Thank you.
We will now hear the planner's report. Karen? You're muted.
Okay, so the purpose of the application is to sever 2.3 acres from the larger parcel to consolidate with the smaller agriculture parcel to accommodate a future septic system enlargement or replacement. The proposed severance will not create a new parcel of land, but rather adjust the boundary line between two existing parcels. The subject property under the official plan and zoning bylaw is designated as agricultural under the township's official plan. Section 1.17 of the official plan contains policies regarding the general rural consent, severance policies in the agriculture designated areas. The proposed severance lot boundary adjustment does not create a new parcel of land, as it will adjust the current boundary lot line between two existing parcels. The subject lands are currently designated as Agriculture 1 under the zoning bylaw. The properties have access from the municipal road network. As agricultural properties, connections to municipal water and sewer services is not a requirement. The future use of the proposed lot line adjustment should not adversely affect the use of neighboring properties, which are for agricultural purposes. The recommendation is that council approve the consent application B01-2022, subject to the following conditions. Would you like me to read the conditions, Mr. Chair?
If the applicant would want it, yes. Would you like it, Jim?
Yeah, it would be nice to know the conditions.
All right, here we go.
Thank you.
There are 5. That a copy of the deed and reference plan be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in digital format, if available, and properly georeferenced to the NAD 83 UTM Zone 17 coordinate system, and also in a form suitable for registration. Number 2, that a deed stamping fee of $250 be paid to the Township of Warwick by cash or check. Number 3, that all conditions be fulfilled within 2 years of the notice of decision of this consent. That the certificate of consent required by section 53(42) of the Planning Act be obtained within 2 years of the notice of decision of this consent. The township will endeavor to send the applicant a reminder that the provisional consent is approaching its lapsing date. However, each applicant is responsible for ensuring that the provisional consent does not lapse. If the provisional consent does lapse, meaning the deeds have not been stamped within 2 years of the notice of decision of the consent, a new application will be required. There is no provision in the Planning Act for extensions to provisional consents. Number 4, that the applicants enter into an agreement with the Township of Warwick for the apportionment of drainage assessments on the involved properties. Number 5, that the severed lands be amalgamated with the property known municipally as 6783 Confederation Line and be registered in the same name and interest to which they are to be added.
Thank you very much. Has the applicant got anything he would like to add?
No, but just, thank you much for hearing our application today. Sorry, I turned off my camera there. My internet connection there is getting a little bit wonky. But thank you so much for hearing our application today. We're excited for this opportunity and appreciate the comments of the county planner. We're more than happy to answer any questions that the committee may have with respect to our application.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Is there any committee member that would like to ask any questions or want more information?
No, I'm good. It's pretty straightforward to me.
I'm fine.
As there are no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks, everyone, for attending. I guess we have time to make a motion to accept or deny this now. Colin, make a motion to,
I'll second it as long as all the conditions are met, put forward.
okay, thank you, John. All in favor? So Jim, it has passed.
Excellent, thank you.
It'll be sent out when we get it signed within the 10 days, and then you'll have the 20-day appeal period, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, I'll let the next applicant in.
Have a minute.
Counselor Westgate, when we get to the end of the agenda, if I could just keep the committee for a minute. I just wanted to advise them of something.
Okay, we'll probably have time between meetings here
Okay.
sometime or other.
Might be more appropriate at the end, though.
Okay,
Don't worry, it's nothing big. It's not a big
Alright.
surprise.
you're there, Linda?
You have to say it.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Do
The
you want your-
next step, we'll go ahead with the next application.
do you want your visual, like your camera?
Okay.
Take notice that application has been made by Linda Logan, owner of Warwick Concession 6 North Egremont Road plot or part lots 8 and 9, municipally known as 6859 Hickory Creek Line, Township of Warwick, for a lot of boundary adjustment to sever a 1.312 acre area from the existing agricultural lot, which is to be consolidated with concession 6 North Egremont Road West Part Lot 9, North Part West Quarter Lot 9, RP 25R2815, Part 1, municipally known as 6895 Hickory Creek Line. And further take notice that the Land Division Committee for the Township of Warwick has appointed Tuesday, March 22nd, 2021 at 5:45 PM for the purpose of a public meeting into this matter. I'll ask the secretary to read how the applications were placed in notice.
Notices were sent by regular mail on March 2nd, 2022, and posted on the property on March 3rd, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Were there any letters or submissions supporting or opposing the application?
There were two, and again, they're on the agenda, but I can read them if the applicant wishes.
Sure.
Okay, so the first one's from the County Public Works, and they had no comments. And the second one is from the Building Services Department, and they say, the two new proposed lot sizes by way of a lot boundary adjustment exceed the 2 acres each and are acceptable to this department. Both parcels will achieve the reasonable use guidelines set by the Ministry of the Environment, which requires a minimum lot size of 2 acres when created in underlying clay soils. This department has no concerns and is supportive of the lot boundary adjustments in relation to the future septic servicing for the enlarged parcel, which is 6895 Hickory Creek. Septic assessments have been completed for both subject parcels, and this department has no concerns. This department can support the application as presented, providing the following condition is imposed: that the septic system locations be included on the survey, plotted on a copy by the owner, and a copy provided to the Building Services Department for the property files.
Okay, thank you. We'll now ask the planner to explain the planner's report.
Nancy?
Sorry. Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. So the purpose of the application is to sever 0.53 hectares or 1.31 acres from the larger agricultural parcel and consolidate with the existing smaller agricultural parcel to accommodate a future septic system enlargement or replacement. The context of the site. The subject sites are located at 6859 and 6895 Hickory Creek Line. The applicant at 6859 Hickory Creek Line has submitted an application for consent to sever and merge approximately 0.53 hectare or 1.31 acres of land from 6859 Hickory Creek Line, which will increase the size of 6895 Hickory Creek Line. This proposed severance will not create a new parcel of land, but rather adjust the boundary line between two existing parcels. The existing agricultural parcel will retain 43.2 hectare or 106.73 acres. The Township of Warwick official plan limits a lot boundary adjustment to 0.8 hectare or 1.98 acres, except in cases where necessitated by the requirements or reasonable use criteria of the province, health unit, county, or the township regarding water supply and sewage disposal. Preferably, parcels created must be at least 2.0 acres in clay soils to ensure long-term viability for development and effluent treatment on the subject property. While fully recognizing this is an existing lot, the ability to increase is ideal. 6895 Hickory Creek Line parcel is approximately 1.0 acre, which in terms of septic system alteration or replacement is undersized. The property owners of 6895 have an opportunity to acquire additional land from 6859 Hickory Creek Line to make up this deficiency through a lot boundary adjustment, which will facilitate a larger septic system in the future. There's a lot of 6, 8s, and 9s and 5s, folks. The official plan and zoning bylaw comments. The subject property is designated as agricultural under the township's official plan. Section 1.17 of the official plan contains policies regarding the general rural consent severance policies in the agricultural designate areas. This proposed severance lot boundary adjustment does not create a new parcel of land, as it will adjust the current boundary lot line between the two existing parcels. The subject lands are currently designated as agricultural 1 or A1 under the zoning bylaw. The properties have access from the municipal road network. As agricultural properties, connections to municipal water and sewer services is not a requirement. Further comments. The future use of the proposed lot line adjustment should not adversely affect the use of neighboring properties which are used for agricultural purposes. The adjustment would allow 6895 Hickory Creek Line the ability to build future additions to the house, which would require a larger septic system. Our recommendation is that council approve consent application B03-2022, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that a copy of the deed and reference plan be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in digital format, if available, and properly georeferenced to the NAD 83 UTM Zone 17 coordinate system, and also in a form suitable for registration. Number 2, that a deed stamping fee of $250 be paid to the Township of Warwick by cash or check. Number 3, that all conditions be fulfilled within 2 years of the notice of decision of this consent. That the certificate of consent required by section 53 subpara 42 of the Planning Act be obtained within 2 years of the notice of decision of this consent. The township will endeavor to send the applicant a reminder that the provisional consent is approaching its lapsing date. However, each applicant is responsible for ensuring that the provisional consent does not lapse. If the provisional consent does lapse, meaning the deeds have not been stamped within 2 years of the notice of decision of the consent, a new application will be required. There is no provision in the Planning Act for extensions to provisional consents. Number 4, that the applicants enter into an agreement with the Township of Warwick for the apportionment of drainage assessments on the involved properties. And lastly, number 5, that the severed lands be amalgamated with the property known municipally as 6895 Hickory Creek Line and be registered in the same name and interest to which they are to be added.
Thank you very much. Has the applicant got anything they would like to explain or add?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you. Has any of the members got any questions or comments? None? Good. It's pretty straightforward. Notice of this, as there are no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And again, we can probably go on and make a motion for or against this.
Make
Dave?
a motion, we approve the application as long as the recommendations are met.
Thank you. Seconder, John? All in favor? John Ruth, because that was. All in favor? Thank you. So you understand that then, Linda?
Yep, yep, thank you very much.
It's been passed and we'll wait for any appeals.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. A couple minutes.
The agent is not in the waiting room yet either, so I'll see if I can see where they are.
Okay. At least now they're going to have 2 years instead of 1, so we might have not have as many of these coming back.
You'll likely have a few that will have to come back because the conditions imposed will have been the 1 year. And it will either have lapsed or they'll seek to amend that condition. But
You mean on these ones here?
well, on these ones, my understanding is that I think there's a couple of applications that are a situation where the conditions never got met and it did lapse.
Yeah,
But I believe, and Karen can correct me if I'm wrong, 2 of these are brand new. So
yes.
if one was approved previously and had the 1 year and it lapsed, it's basically a brand new application. So it gets the 2 years. But we may see a couple of folks who recognize that they got a 1 year approval. They haven't, that 1 year hasn't totally expired. And there may be an opportunity for them to come back to committee and have that condition changed.
Okay,
So we'll see how things work out. But generally speaking, what we've been seeing is they lapse.
so
But
like,
but any
John
new
had one a
application
while
gets
ago.
2 years.
He could,
Yeah,
and he didn't get it, if he didn't get it through, he'd come back to the committee then.
Yeah, I have
Yes,
one, Ken, so what would be involved? Like just have to pay $250 again, or is it that simple?
to change the conditions,
Right.
I believe they would just have to pay their fee and make an application that would clearly say, I haven't lapsed. I wish to have my condition amended to 2 years.
Oh, really?
And then you would make a decision. Remember, this is all new. So
Yeah.
we've moved from 1 to 2. So I can tell you the planning director's emails have been flying around regarding this, and there doesn't seem to be a consistent way to deal with it, but
Okay.
I will find a way to make it work. So.
Well, just so you know, Ken, if it all works out, I'll recommend a bonus for you.
Appreciate that, but not necessary.
Oh, okay. I think we should congratulate Karen on her 68596895. She did a great job. I was watching.
There's a lot of numbers to read in these.
That didn't go without a number of edits, reviewing those numbers over and over and over. It's a tough one.
So the agent is on his way. He should be here shortly. I'm just letting him in now, Chair Westgate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it is now 6 o'clock. We will go on with the next application. Take notice that an application was made by Cornelison Farms Incorporated, agent Jonathan Burnett, solicitor, owner of concession 2 South Egremont Road, part of lots 28, 29, and 30, municipally known as 8870, 8904, 8948, and 9004 Scion Line, Township of Warwick, to sever 4 farm parcels which have become unintentionally merged on title. And further take notice that the Land Division Committee for the Township of Warwick has appointed Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m. for the purpose and hearing of the matter. I'll ask the secretary to read the dates and places of the notice of public meeting.
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on March 2nd, 2022.
Will the secretary please read letters or submissions supporting or opposing the application?
So there were 4, and again, they were provided on the agenda, but I can read them if the applicant wishes.
Does the applicant want them read?
Maybe you can't hear us.
He's still on. There.
There you go.
Sorry, I don't think I got a copy of the agenda. Was there anything in opposition that's going to be an issue?
No, most of them were no concerns, and then there was, if it affects the gas lines, you're supposed to contact Enbridge.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. You don't need to read them.
Okay.
I will now ask the planner for the report to explain the report.
Okay, so the background, the applicant would like consent to sever a plus minus 178 hectare, 439 acre agricultural parcel into 4 separate parcels as the properties have become merged on title. The proposal would see 3 40-hectare or 97-acre parcels and 1 60-hectare parcel or 148-acre created as a result of this severance. The property currently has 4 municipal addresses and 4 separate assessment roll numbers. This application, for the most part, would seek to separate the lots to their original parcel dimensions. As all of the proposed severed and retained properties are adequately sized, all of which exceed the 38-hectare, 94-acre minimum lot size, as shown in a following table, which I can't read, this application could be viewed as a standard farm split application. According to the applicant solicitor, the subject properties are a result of unintentional merging. The provincial policy statement also permits severances for legal or technical reasons. So this type of severance is permitted on this basis as well. According to the applicant, the severed and retained parcels include a number of farm buildings, which include poultry barns, feed bins, silos, manure storage facilities, and solar panels. And those are listed in Schedule A, which follows. In addition to these various farm buildings, 2 of the properties, 8948 and 9004 Zion Line, also include homes. This is an important variable as it pertains to MDS calculations. With regards to the official plan and zoning bylaw, these lands are currently designated for the most part as agricultural in the Township of Warwick official plan, with the exception of small portions of 3 of the lots, which also have areas designated Natural Heritage Woodlot and a portion of 9004 Zion Line, which has an area listed as Natural Heritage Hazard. The corresponding zone designations are Agricultural 1, which is A1, Natural Heritage Woodlot, which is EPW, and Natural Heritage Hazard. Further comments are the Township of Warwick official plan and zoning bylaw requires a minimum area of 38 hectares or 94 acres for agricultural parcels. Both the proposed severed and retained lots would exceed the zoning bylaw's 38 hectare or 94 acre minimum farm lot size. The Township of Warwick zoning bylaw requires that the severed and retained lots require separate access routes. The applicant would be required to provide access routes satisfactory to the Township of Warwick Public Works Department. With regards to minimum distance separation, there are a number of livestock operations located within the immediate vicinity of the subject parcels, most of which are directly associated with the Cornelison Farms poultry operation. In this case, MDS1 and MDS2 calculations were calculated to ensure that the current agricultural buildings meet the minimum distance separation. In this case, they do. MDS1 calculations were also required as there were 2 homes included with this application. The information with regards to farm building livestock capacity was obtained from the Cornelison Farms' most recent nutrient management plan dated April 9th, 2019. When assessing potential MDS impacts, the impacts on existing residents located on the subject property and adjacent homes located on other nearby properties were considered. The possible effects on future farm operation plans were also taken into consideration. The lots are sufficient in size to accommodate a wide variety of agricultural uses, including livestock facility for future uses. As for the vacant farm parcels, i.e. which do not currently have a home, there appears to be adequate building envelopes available for future residences. Previous decisions made by the committee. Provisional consent had previously been given to this application on July 10th, 2019, and again upon reapplication on March 2nd, 2021. Both provisional consents expired prior to the completion of all approved conditions. The recommendation that based on the information available, our department has no objection to the approval of the consent application as presented, subject to the following conditions of approval. Mr. Chair, does the applicant want me to read those?
I don't think we'll need to have them read this time,
Thank you.
unless the yes?
I just want to make sure that the condition for a reference plan just needs to have the caveat that if it's required by the land registry office, because I will be getting an exemption for these parcels.
Okay, well, recommendation number 1 is that a
Okay.
copy of the deed and reference plan be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in digital format if available, and properly georeferenced to the NAD 83 U2M Zone 17 coordinate system, and also in a form suitable for registration. That's condition 1. Mr. Melanson, would you assist?
Is,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would say that it would be up to you, the secretary, to determine if at the time that anything comes forward for stamping, whether the condition is satisfied and or staff will. So from my mind, that condition is sufficient. It's worded sufficiently to deal with an exemption, but I will note it is a standard condition. We don't generally support removal of that condition.
Yeah, so I have no objection to the condition being in there. And I think that the if available part there, if you could just change the wording for if available to just put if required by the land registry office, then that would just allow me to get an exemption, because otherwise it is a really expensive reference plan given the number of parcels I have to separate.
Mr. Chairman, if I could comment,
yes,
typically a registry plan is required by the registry as far as I'm aware. So I'm not sure whether an exemption would actually occur. If the applicant is provided an exemption, they would need to provide that to us to also satisfy the condition.
so what you're saying is we should leave it in?
That would be my recommendation. It's flexible enough that if the applicant is given an exemption and they provide us confirmation from registry that that has occurred, I think we can clear the condition.
Okay, thank you for your report. Now, with the applicant, anything he would like to add, or?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to get back to that condition and when applying for an exemption, I had one previously, but I needed to get the condition amended from the Committee of Adjustment to say that if required by the Land Registry Office, and that was an issue I ran into about a month and a half ago. So that's why I'm just asking that. I'm perfectly happy with that condition remaining in. But I'm requesting that the conditions state that where the words if available are in the conditions be changed to if required by the Land Registry Office. And that's just with respect to the reference plan, because I will obviously be providing a deed in draft format to the Secretary Treasurer prior to that. But just to enable me to get that exemption, the individual that I've been dealing with at the Land Registry Office in Oshawa, or wherever she is, wanted that condition changed, and that's part of the reason why I'm here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Has there been any members of the committee that have any questions, or?
I don't think there's an issue with changing the wording on ours. If he's entitled to get the exemption just by changing a couple words, it really doesn't affect our situation. So I don't see any issues with that. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I think this is maybe the third time we've gone through this parcel separation. So if my memory serves me correctly. So yeah, that's the only comment I have to make. But just by changing the wording, that it allows them possibly to get that exemption, then I don't see any reason for us to withhold that opportunity. So.
Is anybody else, anything they'd like to add or ask? Okay. As there are no more questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks, everyone, for attending. And now, I guess we can go on and make a recommendation for or against, or change the recommendation. John?
I would like to change the recommendation, which allows them the opportunity to waive that, thrown in there, and if so, I will move. We approve it. Ken has a question.
Yes, Ken?
I was just gonna offer some suggested wording. So what I would suggest is in condition 1, after where it says reference plan, you would just add in brackets, if required by land registry. And I would also suggest at the end of the condition that if an exemption is provided, some suitable language to require proof of that exemption be provided so that we know that it has been granted.
You go along with that?
Yep, no, that sounds perfect.
Okay.
I'm not in the language of wordsmithing for the municipal or for the township, so I have a lot of other wordsmithing duties, so.
Have we got a seconder for
I'll
that?
second it.
Thank you, Dave. All in favor?
I just wanted to ask a question,
Okay.
Barry. So are we making 2 motions here, or we're just gonna make a motion to accept and change the wording all in one motion? I didn't,
Well, we're just changing the
right,
we're changing one of the recommendations.
Okay.
So the motion be to accept with that recommendation changed.
okay.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. It is 6:15. Just getting these done in time. We'll go along, or go next to application number B05-22. Take notice that application was made by Cornelius Poultry Incorporated, agent Jonathan Burnett, solicitor, owner of concession 3 South Egremont Road, parts of lot 29, municipally known as 8899 and 8965 Scion Line, Township of Warwick, to sever 2 farm parcels which have become unintentionally merged on title, I'm sorry. And further take notice that the Land Division Committee for the Township of Warwick has appointed Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022 at 6:15 p.m. for the purpose of a public hearing into this matter. Will the secretary please read the dates and places of the public notice of public meeting?
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on March 2nd, 2022.
Were there any letters or submissions supporting or opposing the application?
There was 4, the same 4 actually that were received for the previous application, and there were no concerns, and just if it affected the gas lines, to contact Enbridge.
Okay, thank you. I will now ask the planner to explain the planner's report.
Okay, very similar, Mr. Chair, to the previous, but I'll highlight the salient points. This property currently has 2 addresses, 2 separate assessment roll numbers. The proposal would return the lots to their original property dimensions. Properties are adequately sized at 40 hectares each. This application could be viewed as a standard farm split, could also be considered an unintentional merger, and as such could be considered under the provincial policy statement as an application for legal or technical reasons resulting from the unintentional merging of adjacent properties. The severed parcel currently contains 2 broiler barns, 1 shed, 4 circular bulk feed tanks, while the retained parcel located to the east contains 2 barns, 1 shed, 7 steel grain bins, 3 silos, and 1 circular bulk feed tank. With regards to the official plan, the lands are currently designated for the most part as agricultural in the Township of Warwick official plan, with the exception of 8 plus or minus hectares at the south end, which is designated natural heritage woodlot. Further comments on the official plan and zoning bylaw require the minimum area of 38 hectares or 94 acres for agricultural parcels. Both the proposed severed and retained lots would exceed the zoning bylaws 38 hectare or 94 acre minimum farm lot size. The Township of Warwick zoning bylaw requires that the severed and retained lots require separate access routes. The applicant would be required to provide access routes satisfactory to the Township of Warwick Public Works Department. The MDS numbers were also calculated to ensure current agriculture buildings meet the minimum distance separation, and they do. And the building capacity report was obtained from Cornelson's Farms' most recent nutrient management plan dated April 9th, 2019. And the impact on adjacent residences and possible effects on future expansion plans were taken into consideration when assessing potential MDS impacts. The lots are sufficient in size to accommodate a wide variety of agricultural uses, including livestock facilities for future uses. There appear to be adequate future building envelopes for residences if they're planned in the future. And again, previous decisions were given to this application, provisional consent, on July 10th, 2019, and again upon reapplication on March 2nd, 2021. Both provisional consents expired prior to the completion of all approved conditions. The recommendation, based on the information available, our department has no objection to the approval of the consent application as presented, subject to the following conditions of approval. And again, we had written in number 1 that a copy of the deed and reference plan be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in digital form if available. So I guess that's up to you to discuss, and then the other 4 conditions added on to that were the same.
Let's see, applicant, thank you for the report. Has the applicant got anything they would like to add or?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, nothing further to add other than the request to amend the condition on the same wording as the last application, so that we can get the exemption. That'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Does any members of the committee have anything they would like to add or questions that we want answered?
No, I'm good. I would like to make the same change to the wording though, or at least
We can do that.
bring that up.
As there are no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks everyone for attending. And now I ask committee for a decision or
I'll make the motion. Same as the last one.
same recommendations last time. Thank you, John. Colin, were you? Thank you. Seconder,
Yeah, I'll second. Thank you.
all in favor? Well, that's passed. Okay, thank you. Now we'll have to wait a minute or a couple minutes for the next one. bad when you have to do all these 2 or 3 times.
Well, now they have 2 years, so they have more time.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have worked for the last one.
So Heather, I'll get you some wording for the decision, the wording that I suggested. I jotted it down for you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, no problem.
Paul's in the waiting room, is he?
He is, yes. Do you want me to let him in now?
Ken shortly, or?
Okay, yeah, I'll wait a couple minutes and then I'll let him in.
We got any more in the works, or are we getting caught up here, Heather?
I hope we're getting caught up, but I haven't, I think there's one maybe that planning has received an inquiry about, but that's all I know about.
If you let them in, we'll be ready to go. And
I was just gonna do that, so give me a second and I'll let him in.
You're there, Paul?
I think so. I'm just trying to move this little thingy over there. Can you see me?
No, not yet.
Oh. All righty. Well, we'll figure this out here.
There we do.
There we go. I thought I was gonna have to call Joan to see if she'd help me out.
Well, I've done that.
Yep, you have. No, it's good to have them around. I usually ask my daughters.
Well, it's close enough to 6:30 or 6:30. Application by Paul Shanahan, agent for 1926632 Ontario Incorporated. Address, location of property, Plan 8 lots 298 and 299 RP 225R-1107027, Part 2, 549 Simcoe Street.
Chair Westgate,
Yes.
I
please.
think you're on the wrong application.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you're reading AO2. Yeah, I think you're reading AO2.
all right.
AO2.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that, everybody. You have to listen to me stumble through this again.
Well, there's two of them there just for confusion. So
Reapplication by Paul Shanahan, agent for 1926632 Ontario Incorporated. Applicant location of 630 McGregor Street, Watford, Ontario, NOM 2SO. Plan 9, part lots 12 and 13, RP 25R11093, part 1 and 2, 397 and 399 Victoria Street. Purpose of the application, the construction of 2 semi-detached dwelling units with attached garages with approximate area of 155 square meters per semi-detached unit. The proposed semi-detached dwellings units necessitate various relations associated with the residential 1R1 zone, but more specifically, the eastern semi-detached dwelling unit will have a maximum lot coverage of 38.64%, where 35% is the maximum lot coverage permitted, as per the residential 1 regulations from Table A of the zoning bylaw. The western semi-detached dwelling unit will have a minimum lot coverage of 38.64%, where 35% is the maximum lot coverage permitted, as per the residential 1 regulations from Table A of the zoning bylaw. Take notice that an application under the above file number will be heard by the Committee of Adjustments on March 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Have the secretary read the dates and places of the notice of public meeting.
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on March 7th, 2022.
Thank you. Will the secretary read letters, submissions supporting or opposing the application?
So there were 2 submitted. They're both available on the agenda, but I can read them if the applicant wishes.
Do you need them read, Mr. Shanahan?
yeah, I didn't see them. So yeah, are they detailed or?
The one is from the County Public Works and they have no comments.
Okay.
The one from the Buildings and Services is quite lengthy, but I can read it if you want, or you can go online afterwards and look at the agenda. It's up to you.
Yeah, well, we'll just go with the agenda one afterwards. You can send me the notes on it, and then, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll now have the planners report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep this short and brief. As discussed, the application is for a minor variance request for an existing parcel or two parcels that were severed last year. Current municipal address is 397 Victoria Street. 399 Victoria Street will be established once the building is actually constructed, but it has been assigned. As it currently stands, the setback requirements for the property are met for the buildings. The buildings are in compliance with the bylaw. It meets everything, all the requirements, but for the maximum lot coverage, which it exceeds by a little over 3%. So not very significant. We feel that the 4 tests for minor variance can be achieved, and as such have recommended that the minor variance application be approved, subject to several conditions. I would like to read the conditions because I would like a revision made to them, just so that everybody is aware of that. Is that acceptable, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So condition 1, that provision of a certified lot grading plan completed to the satisfaction of the township and approved by same. 2, provision of a final grading certificate upon completion of the semi-detached dwelling units, subject to approval by the township. 3, that eave troughs, downspouts, and drainage be maintained within the property boundaries for each respective unit. No cross-lot drainage is permitted. 4, that each semi-detached dwelling unit shall be serviced by separate municipal laterals contained solely within each semi-detached dwelling unit's property boundaries, and that a servicing plan denoting such be provided and be subject to approval by the township where services are not contained within each semi-detached dwelling unit's property boundaries. Easements are to be established to the satisfaction of the township. So these conditions are reflective of the comments provided by the Lambton County Building Services Department. What I would ask is that condition, upon greater thought on my part, I would suggest that condition number 2 be removed and be placed as a notice rather, simply because it is an item that can't be achieved prior to the applicant or the property owner moving forward with a building permit application. So as part of the building permit application process, the applicant will provide a lot grading servicing plan so he can meet the condition of the variance. When he goes to do his design, his grading plan, he can ensure that the downspouts and the eaves troughs are and there's no cross lot drainage, so we can ensure that's done as part of that grading plan. And then the same thing with regards to the servicing. So these are items that can be resolved or addressed as part of the building permit application and can be submitted at that time. So he'll be able to meet those requirements. The final grading certificate, even though it is worded in such a way that it could be deferred, I still believe it's more appropriate that we put that as notice, just because it is something that needs to be done after the building has gone up, and it's very difficult for someone to address a minor variance concern or for the minor variance not to be granted if they meet that condition, if it's not met. So that's my recommendation, that condition number 2 be put as a note. Is that if it's acceptable by the committee?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Has the applicant got any comments or explanation that he would like to add?
No, I think that's great. Yeah, because we're running into that issue with the other property here on Simcoe that we'll get into next. So yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So what? Just so that Mr. Shanahan is aware, this does not. You're still required to provide a certified lot plan prior to submission of a building permit. What we've said is that the final grading certificate be deferred until a later date. Because that, you need to have built the building, graded the lot, that you just can't do that before
Right.
it's all done.
Yeah, so what you're saying is just to clarify, we'll get Monteith to give you an initial grading plan right now.
Correct. Correct.
And that needs to show the neighbors' boundaries too.
That will to identify, it'll be a proper grading plan, which should include some of the adjacent landowners' lands to ensure that you're not draining onto their lands.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really all it is. So it's a grading plan for this property. And just the final grading certificate to ensure that the work was done in accordance with the plan. That's just deferred till a later date, of course, because it can't be achieved.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Has any of the members have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. I think it
No?
looks pretty straightforward with the grading. I think that was one concern I had too, just getting rid of the water. Seems to be a thing lately.
As there are no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And now I will ask for a committee decision. Right. Councilor Mitchell?
Yeah, I'd just make a motion to move with the amendments that was made by the planner.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Optimist John?
I am an optimist.
I'm sorry. Why I put that there, I don't know. All in favor? That is carried. Now maybe I can get the right one.
We only got one choice now, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm down to one. I should have blew these up so I could read them. I guess we better wait a couple minutes. Well, I believe it's 6:45. We'll go on with the next one. This is an application by Paul Shanahan, agent for 1926632 Ontario Incorporated. Location of property, Plan 8, lots 298 and 299, RP 25R-11027, Part 2, 549 Simcoe Street. Purpose of application: the construction of a single detached dwelling unit with a attached garage with approximate area of 182 square meters. The purpose single detached dwelling unit necessitates various related regulations associated with the residential 1 R1 zone, but more specifically, effect of the application, the single detached dwelling unit will have a minimum lot coverage of 34.98%, where 30% is the maximum lot coverage permitted as per the residential 1 regulations from Table A of the zoning bylaw. The single detached dwelling unit will have an exterior side yard setback of 4.79 meters, where 6 meters is the minimum exterior side yard setback as per the residential 1 regulations from Table A of the zoning bylaw. The covered porch of the single detached dwelling unit will have an exterior side yard setback of 3.27 meters, where 6 meters is the minimum exterior side yard setback as per section 3.13.1 yard encroachments permitted and the residential 1 regulations from Table A of the zoning bylaw. Take notice that application under the above file number will be heard by the Committee of Adjustments on March 22nd, 2022 at 6:45 p.m. Will the secretary please read the dates, places of the notice of public meeting?
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on March 7th, 2022.
Will the secretary please read letters or submissions supporting or opposing the application?
So there were 2 that are on the agenda. One is from County Public Works and they had no comments again. And the other one was from Building Services, which is again quite extensive.
Give the same as before.
Sounds good.
Okay. And I'll ask the planner for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll once again attempt to keep this brief. However, I would like to elaborate a little bit further on a couple salient points. So the application is for a minor variance for a lot which was recently severed earlier this year, January, to be specific. The lot has yet to be formally established. And what I mean by that is that a dwelling, the deed has yet to be stamped and all the conditions met. So the minor variance relates to the reference plan that has yet to be officially transferred. It's a little convoluted with land titles, but I spent some time trying to figure it out. So once the plan is formally, the deed is established, the plan number in front of you will actually, for lack of better terms, exist. And once it exists, the address will be 553 Simcoe Street for future reference. So as noted previously, the site is located at the corner of McGregor and Simcoe Streets at the northwest intersection. For all intents and purposes, it meets the official plan. It meets the zoning bylaw. So all the boxes are checked. But for a few items where the variances are required. Specifically, the side yard setback for the main building. So there's two things. So one, you have the exterior side yard setback of 4.7 meters for the main building, and then 3.27 for the porch. And then of course the overall lot coverage of 34.98%, so just shy of 5% increase. Everything else with regards to the bylaw, building height, landscaping amounts, all that meets and is in conformance with the bylaw. So we had some initial concerns regarding the proposed setbacks. However, upon review of the variety of homes along McGregor Street, both north and south of the subject property, it's based on, at least on our review, it appears that the exterior setback varies from home to home. Some meet the minimum requirement, some do not. And I think that's tied to the age of the homes, perhaps previous decisions regarding the Committee of Adjustment. Suffice it to say, there's been no consistent approach, and there's a variation, which adds, let's say, a little bit of flavor to the street. So as it stands, given that variation, we felt that the proposed minor variances requested regarding the exterior side yard setback were acceptable, or at least in the realm to be supported by administration. And then the same for the lot coverage, given the amount of open space being maintained. As it stands, once again, I'd like to read our recommendation, or more specifically the proposed conditions. But as I said before, we believe we're the view that the application can be approved for the site with several conditions for 553 Simcoe Street. Specifically, that the approved variances be in accordance with the revised site plan as found in attachment 2. Attachment 2 being the updated site plan, as the site plan initially submitted with the application was incorrect. It was for an alternative building that was being contemplated for the site. That's one specification. 2, that provision of certified lot grading plan completed to the satisfaction of the town and approved by same be provided. 3, and I'd ask that number 3 be stricken and placed as a note. Provision of a final grading plan certificate, final grading certificate upon completion of the detached dwelling be provided. So I would like that deferred with the same rationale as the previous application. And then, of course, that the eaves and through downspouts and drainage be maintained within the properties, and that no cross lot drainage is permitted. So much of these conditions, 2 and 4, do reflect the conditions associated with the application for consent. That was, draft consent granted earlier this year. And so as the applicant moves through completing those conditions, he should be able to achieve conditions 2 and 4, just as a part of that process. This was really much more about restating these conditions. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Has the applicant got anything he would like to comment on or add?
I think we've got that covered. It fits in actually, a lot smaller than sight lines with some of the other existing houses. So I think it'll be all be good. Just get her done.
Does any of the members, anything they would like to add or say? What street is the driveway going to come off of? Simcoe?
Simcoe, it'll be right next to my place.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as the drainage goes, I know where the water goes. It always in my backyard.
That's what we want to avoid doing.
Well, I think I'd like to probably, we'll do this down the road, but I think I'll put a French drain in the back with you guys, with your permission, and run it to the where I relocated the storm drain here at the existing structure. last week.
So we can address that separately, but that's part of this whole process.
Yeah. So should I do that? Should we get that started with Brad Rumbouts now on a permit or?
Yeah, I would, that's part of the drainage plan. Sorry, this speaks to the.
Yeah,
the
he put,
drainage plan.
he put a stump in, well, Andrew and him and I had a meeting here, but he did put a stump in. We're just gonna have to thread through some Brook Telecom cable. But he did put a stump farther out so that I can do it really easily.
So that all that is gonna be a requirement of the severance.
Here's my quick question though. Do I do that before we do another grading? Because I have topsoil here that I'd like to use if we're gonna do another grading later.
I would suggest, sorry, Mr. Chair, this is a
Go ahead.
discussion that I feel should be perhaps dealt with separately, given it relates to the severance. I just understand how valuable your time is. But in short, Mr. Shanahan, I would advise that you, I believe comments have returned and have been provided to you regarding the grading plan. I would advise that the grading plan that you have already completed be updated in accordance with the comments, and that any sort of grading be done to that to address that. If you've indicated that I don't recall a reference to a French drain being identified.
No, well, it was a thought that came up with Brad when he was here 2 days ago.
So that will need to be included as part of the grading plan, because as I said, you can't have the new lot draining onto the old lot, and understandably, you can't do significant amounts of work with the existing.
100%. But every time I call Monteith out, it's more money. So I just want to know, like, do we do an initial one and then put the grading, like the new plan in, or?
As I said before, I would advise
Okay, well,
the plan.
I'll send you an email. I'll send you an email tomorrow, maybe.
It should be on the new grading plan.
It should be on the grading plan.
To get it, the grading plan approved, it has to match what is there.
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
if you go ahead and do it, it should be on the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, has anybody else, any questions? As there are no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. The notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.
I will now ask for a motion or resolution.
Yeah, I'll make a
Move,
motion
or
to-
John, go ahead.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
John Ruth will move it and John
I'll second
Calvert
it.
second it.
Yeah.
All in favor? That's approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, everyone.
Now, before we adjourn, I think Ken had something you wanted to say to us?
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you, Committee of Adjustment, for having done essentially what is either a full year or completely close to a full year's worth of applications in one night. You've done just as many as you did last year tonight. So congratulations.
Well, I hope we did them okay. And,
Well,
you're doing great.
I've joked with Miss Gubbles and Miss Williams that you can stand down now. You don't need to, you've done your part, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be an option for you.
No.
And I'll just add, thank you for the warm welcome for Karen, and she'll be here. She'll continue to be attending the Committee of Adjustment. So.
Well, thank you for the good reports. It makes it easy.